The heat of summer is here, but even with all that warm weather, hunters need to plan for the fall. Today, Tom and Justin are talking about plans for your food plot.
Welcome back, Northern Michigan. Justin Morgan here at our food plot with us. And Justin, good news, got some green growing, looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, yep, it's starting to come up, looks really good. We got some clover popping up here, and that's some of the seed we put in last year, so it's coming up this year. You know, my rule of thumb when I plant clover, if it takes over 70%, I leave it as clover. We don't have a 70% stand here. We're thinking about doing a summer plot anyways, but talking about going into a spring plot, that's what we're doing now.
Okay, so what's our next step? I mean, it may not have so much growth right now. We want a whole lot more. What do we do next?
Yep, so now we want to make sure we look at like doing pH, right? Like making sure that we put the right amount of lime on there.
Right.
And lime will help bring up our pH. 6.2 to 7 is where the nutrient release is the best, and the seed germination will be the best. So a lot of guys will put lime on because that's what they did last year, but be careful you don't go over that 7, because then the nutrient won't release and your seed germination won't be as good.
And as we've talked about, ferns are a big indicator of bad soil for what we want. And here we haven't had really many ferns the last 2 years because we put this down.
Yeah, and a lot, you know, and ferns won't really germinate after that, like 5, 5, 5. You won't even have them anymore. They'll disappear because it's like, let's say like a blueberry plant. Once you get that pH too high, it doesn't like that environment. So as long as you bring that pH up, it takes the environment away from that.
Okay, so let's say we got our lime good, it's down if needed. What's the next step after that?
The next step is fertility. So the food plot do that 844. That is kind of like we showed a couple weeks ago where you had the bottles. You know, you're building that soil up. That's the dairy-dew in there, the humate's in there. You know, it's good for sandier soils to help build that up. And hold.
So it thickens everything, essentially.
Yeah, it thickens and helps hold water and moisture, and then the nutrients there not leaching in the ground like the synthetic salts.
Okay, so we're going to talk about putting in a little bit of seed here for our spring, midsummer plot.
Yep, for the spring midsummer plot. This year I come up with the Uncle Buck. So it's like for poorer soils. A lot of times we go into big open areas that's sandy, that the nutrient isn't very good. So I like the Uncle Buck, and that will help take off in them poorer soils. If you got the average and above soils, then that Morgan Big Buck really performs too, and they'll come back 3 to 5 years depending on your soil quality.
Okay, after we put down the seed, how long will it take to really get some green growing here?
Yeah, give it a couple weeks, depends on the moisture, you know, how much rain you get, and make sure, you know, the important thing with the seed, cover it up with like a chain link fence or a drag or some sort, and just make sure you got that soil to seed contact.
All right, so that's just the next step, and that's great. It's pretty easy to do for us here. Should be able to knock this down, and hopefully in a couple weeks we'll see some nice results from putting everything down. Of course, next week, we're not talking about food plot. We're gonna take a break from that for a little while. It's about the apple trees, our trees around the area, how to get them ready, get them going, and make sure they're doing well for the entire summer.